The distress signal. Captain Nadia Volkov stood at the viewport of the EDF Thunderstrike, watching Earth shrink to a pale blue dot as her vessel cleared the orbital defense grid. At 42, with 20 years in Earth's interstellar defense force, she still found these moments of departure oddly poignant. The 2-kilometer battleship hummed with power beneath her feet, its hull bristling with weapon systems that most galactic conquered species found horrifying. Captain, final clearance received from command, reported Lieutenant Haruki Tanaka from the communications station. We're authorized to proceed to the rendezvous coordinates. Volkov nodded, her weathered face impassive. Engage primary FTL drives, let's not keep our nervous allies waiting. The Thunderstrike's massive engines flared, catapulting the vessel into faster-than-light travel with a ripple of distorted spacetime. Volkov returned to her command chair, reviewing the mission briefing one final time. 3 days earlier, the message had arrived at Earth's diplomatic outpost on Proxima Centauri b. In the crystalline communication chamber of Harmony Station, Ambassador Gyro of the Galactic had trembled visibly despite the carefully adjusted environmental controls. His translucent skin flickered with patterns of distress as he interfaced with the Earth diplomatic AI. "This is an official request for military assistance," Gyro's melodic voice quavered. "The Meridian Collective has been attacked by unknown aggressors. Their outer colonies have fallen and their homeworld is under siege." The AI processed this calmly. The Meridian territory is 6 months from Earth space at standard FTL speeds. Has the Conquered Security Council authorized intervention? Gyro's skin darkened with what humans had learned was embarrassment. The Council is deliberating. They have formed investigative committees. As they did for the Villani and the Zoth and the Prismari, the AI noted, all of whom are now extinct. The Kalesti ambassador's 4 eyes blinked in synchrony. "You understand our dilemma. The Kalesti and Meridians evolved on garden worlds. We have no concept of warfare as humans understand it. Our ships carry no weapons. While Earth vessels carry nothing but," the AI finished. "I will forward your request to Earth Command immediately." Now 20 parsecs from Earth, the Thunderstrike prepared to rendezvous with a Kalesti diplomatic vessel. Captain Volkov reviewed Earth's complicated relationship with the galactic community. Humanity had gained admission to the Galactic Conquered only 15 years earlier, and the term provisional membership still stung many human diplomats. Earth had been classified as a Class 12 Deathworld, a planet with environmental conditions so hostile that it produced species with extraordinary survival adaptations. Humans were stronger, more durable, and more aggressive than 90% of known sentient species. Their capacity for violence horrified the predominantly peaceful conquered races. "The Kalesti vessel is approaching, Captain," announced Senior Officer Feng Wei from Tactical. "They're requesting permission to dock." "Granted," Volkov replied. "Adjust environmental controls in Meeting Chamber 3 to Kalesti standard, and remind all personnel to move slowly and speak softly. We don't want to terrify our guest before negotiations begin." Ambassador Gyro entered the meeting chamber with obvious trepidation, his 7-foot frame seeming to fold inward despite the lower gravity settings. 2 junior Kalesti diplomats followed, their skin patterns shifting nervously as they observed the humans present. "Ambassador," Volkov greeted, keeping her movements deliberately slow. "I'm Captain Nadia Volkov. Earth Command has authorized deployment of Battle Group Sigma in response to your request." Gyro's central eyes widened. "A battle group, how many vessels?" 22 ships, 5 battle cruisers including the Thunderstrike, 12 destroyers and 5 support vessels. Approximately 18,000 personnel. The Kalesti diplomats exchanged glances that rippled their translucent skin with patterns of astonishment. "You committed half your interstellar fleet based on a single distress call?" Gyro asked incredulously. Volkov's lips tightened. "We recognize the attack pattern, Ambassador. This is the 4th such incident in conquered space within 2 standard years. The previous 3 ended with extinction-level events while your Security Council formed committees." She activated the holographic display showing tactical data from the previous attacks. "The Meridians are technically advanced. If whatever is attacking them has overcome their defenses, the threat could eventually reach human space. Earth prefers to confront threats before they arrive on our doorstep." Gyro's skin paled to near transparency. "The Conquered has concerns about human military intervention. Your species' approach to conflict is unsettling to many council members. With respect, Ambassador, what the Conquered finds unsettling is precisely what the Meridians need right now. Volkov's voice remained even. 22 ships can depart immediately. We can reach Meridian space in 4 months using emergency FTL protocols, or you can wait for the Security Council to complete their deliberations. The choice was clear. 6 hours later, Battle Group Sigma initiated emergency FTL protocols, accelerating to speeds that most conquered vessels couldn't sustain for more than a few hours. The Thunderstrike led the formation, with Ambassador Gyro reluctantly aboard as liaison. For 3 months, the human fleet pushed through space at reckless velocity. Gyro spent much of his time observing the humans, fascinated despite his unease. He watched them train relentlessly in simulated combat scenarios, maintain their weapons with reverent care, and operate with a disciplined efficiency that contradicted the Conquered's perception of humans as primitive brutes. "Your species prepares for conflict as though it were inevitable," he remarked to Volkov during one of their daily briefings. "On Earth it usually was," she replied. 15,000 years of human civilization and fewer than 300 years without major wars. We evolved through conflict, Ambassador. It shaped us. The Kalesti evolved through cooperation. Our world had abundant resources and few predators. Gyro's skin rippled thoughtfully. Perhaps that is why we find it so difficult to comprehend species like yours. Or to defend yourselves against genuine threats, Volkov added quietly. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from the bridge. "Captain, we've detected an unidentified vessel at extreme sensor range. Configuration matches KLSD data on the unknown attackers." "Battle stations," Volkov ordered instantly. "Ambassador, please return to your quarters. We'll continue this discussion after we've dealt with our visitor." The unidentified vessel approached aggressively, its organic-looking hull pulsing with reddish energy. It was approximately the size of a human destroyer, but moved with unsettling, almost animal-like motions. "They're scanning us," reported Officer Feng. "Energy buildup detected, possible weapons charging." "Shields at maximum," Volkov commanded. "All personnel, prepare for potential neural attack based on previous encounter data." Moments later, a wave of energy washed over the Thunderstrike. On the bridge, several officers winced, pressing hands to their temples. Volkov herself felt a sharp headache bloom behind her eyes but remained functional. "Status report," she demanded. "All ships reporting similar effects," Lieutenant Tanaka called out. "Mild to moderate neural discomfort, but all systems and personnel remain operational." Volkov allowed herself a grim smile. As intelligence suggested, their primary weapon targets neural structures common to most conquered species. Human neurology is different enough to resist the worst effects. She turned to tactical. "Target their propulsion and weapon systems, disable only, we need information." The Thunderstrike's forward batteries fired once. Concentrated energy beams sliced through the attacker's hull with surgical precision, disabling its engines. Before the alien vessel could retaliate, a second volley struck its weapon systems. "They're attempting emergency repairs," Feng reported. "No life signs detected. It appears to be automated or remotely controlled." "Prepare boarding teams," Volkov ordered. "Full hazard protocols. I want that ship's data core intact." 6 hours later, Volkov studied the information recovered from the alien vessel. Ambassador Gyro stood beside her, his skin fluctuating between patterns of horror and fascination. "It's a scout ship," Volkov explained. "Part of a much larger force currently besieging the Meridian homeworld. Their primary weapons are indeed neural disruptors, designed to target specific neurological patterns common among conquered species." "But humans are resistant," Gyro observed. "Not immune, but significantly less affected. Our nervous systems evolved on a high-gravity world with constant environmental threats." Volkov's eyes hardened. "Earth was never gentle with us, Ambassador. Everything on our world, the gravity, the predators, the diseases, even the oxygen content of our atmosphere, tried to kill us every day for millions of years." She turned to face the Kalesti diplomat fully. "Your Conquered fears us because we're stronger, more aggressive, and more resilient than most species out there. But those qualities are exactly what the Meridians need right now." Volkov activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships, this is Captain Volkov. We have confirmed that the enemy's neural weapons have limited effect on humans. We've also confirmed that our weapons are effective against their ships. She paused, looking around at her bridge crew. Set course for the Meridian homeworld. Battle Group Sigma is now on war footing. Throughout the fleet, 18,000 humans prepared for combat. Unlike the gentle species of the conquered, they understood the harsh truth that sometimes survival required confrontation. They were the descendants of those who had endured ice ages, predators, disease, and their own warlike tendencies. If any force in the galaxy was prepared to face an unknown horror, it was them. Ambassador, Volkov said quietly as the massive engines powered up again, your conquered has been running from these monsters. We're going to hunt them down. The great ships accelerated toward Meridian space, leaving Ambassador Gyro to wonder if the galaxy was ready for what humanity would unleash in its defense. Hunters become prey. The Meridian homeworld hung in space like a shattered emerald. Once a vibrant garden world with soaring crystal spires and vast biodomes, it now bore the scars of systematic destruction. Massive fires were visible even from orbit, consuming entire continents. The Raiders' fleet, over 100 organic-looking vessels, surrounded the planet in a blockade formation. From the bridge of the Thunderstrike, Captain Volkov surveyed what remained of Meridian civilization. Behind her, Ambassador Gyro made a soft keening sound, the Kalesti equivalent of a gasp. "We're too late," he whispered, his translucent skin fatting to a ghostly white. "No," Volkov said firmly. "Our scans show approximately 6 million Meridians still alive in the southern hemisphere. Their central arcology shields are holding, but they won't last much longer without intervention." She turned to the tactical officer. "Implement Battle Plan Artemis, all ships to assume formation Omega." Throughout Battle Group Sigma, crews moved with practiced efficiency. The larger battle cruisers formed a spearhead formation, with the destroyers arranging themselves as protective flanks. The Thunderstrike took position at the tip of the spear. "The enemy outnumbers us 5-1, Gyro observed, his voice trembling. "Numbers aren't everything," Volkov replied, her face set with determination. She opened a fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is Captain Volkov. The enemy has never faced humans before. Let's make sure they remember this encounter." She paused, her voice hardening. "Weapons free, engage." The human fleet accelerated toward the Raider Armada in a direct frontal assault, a tactic that horrified Ambassador Gyro. The Thunderstrike struck first, its main batteries firing in coordinated sequence. Beams of concentrated energy tore through the nearest Raider vessel, reducing it to expanding debris. The rest of the human fleet followed suit, targeting the largest enemy ships with overwhelming firepower. The Raiders responded immediately, their ships breaking formation to counter the human attack. Waves of neural energy washed over the human fleet, but as with the scout ship encounter, the weapons proved far less effective than against other species. Humans experienced pain and disorientation, but remained conscious and functional. "They're adapting," Lieutenant Tanaka noted as the tactical display showed Raider vessels switching to conventional weapons, energy beams and projectiles. "As expected," Volkov nodded. "Now we see what they're really capable of." The battle transformed into a brutal exchange of firepower. Raider ships moved with surprising agility, but human vessels responded with maneuvers that defied the expectations of both allies and enemies. The heavy human ships rotated and changed direction with precision that conquered engineers had long considered impossible for vessels of their mass. "3 destroyers reporting moderate damage," Tanaka called out. "The Krakatoa has lost shields." Volkov acknowledged the report without taking her eyes off the tactical display. "Order 6 Squadron to cover Krakatoa's retreat and launch the dropships. Major Okoro, you're cleared for groundside deployment." In the Thunderstrike's launch bay, Major Daishi Okoro checked his powered armor one final time as his dropship prepared for atmospheric entry. Around him, 120 Marines did the same, their faces set with determination. "Remember your training," he called over the squad channel. "Meridian gravity is 0.8 Earth standard. Your jumps will carry you farther. Adjust accordingly." The dropship shuddered as it entered the atmosphere, Raider defensive fire exploding around them. Okoro gripped his rifle tighter. This would be humanity's first ground engagement with the enemy, and as battalion commander, he was determined to set the standard. 30 seconds to touchdown, the pilot announced. "LZ is hot. Repeat, landing zone is hot." The ship's bay doors opened, revealing a scene of chaos below. The Meridian capital, once a marvel of organic architecture with living buildings that grew rather than being constructed, was partially in ruins. Raider ground forces swarmed through the streets, pursuing fleeing civilians. The aliens resembled large insectoid creatures with multiple limbs and segmented bodies, their carapaces gleaming darkly in the fires of the burning city. "Go, go, go," Akoro shouted as the dropship hovered 10 meters above a central plaza. The Marines leaped from the bay, their powered armor absorbing the impact. Akoro hit the ground and immediately opened fire on the nearest Raider soldiers, his rifle spitting high-velocity rounds that punched through their armored exoskeletons. The effect of the human arrival was immediate. The Raider ground forces, accustomed to facing physically weaker species, found themselves confronted with enemies in powered armor that enhanced their already formidable strength. Human Marines moved with shocking speed, their armor systems compensating for the lower gravity. "Second and third platoons secure the eastern approach," Akoro ordered. "First platoon with me, we're heading for the central arcology. Intelligence suggests civilians are sheltering there." The Marines moved through the ruined streets, engaging Raider troops at every turn. The aliens fought fiercely but seemed confused by the humans' resistance to their neural weapons, which they continued to employ despite their limited effectiveness. Akoro's platoon reached the central arcology, a massive structure of living crystal that now bore numerous fractures and impact points. As they approached the main entrance, a group of Meridian defenders appeared, raising weapons uncertainly. The Meridians were graceful beings with 4 slender arms and opalescent skin that shimmered with bioluminescence. They stared at the humans with their large, compound eyes, displaying a mixture of fear and desperate hope. "We're from Earth," Akoro announced, his armor's external speakers translating his words. "We're here to help." The lead Meridian lowered his weapon. "You survived their mind weapons." "Our nervous systems are different," Akoro explained simply. "Where are your people?" "Inside, thousands of them, but the Raiders are breaking through the lower levels." Akoro nodded. "Show us." As the orbital battle intensified, Akoro led his platoon deeper into the arcology complex. The interior was filled with Meridian civilians, many injured, all terrified. Children with large, frightened eyes watched as the armored humans moved past. In the lower levels, they found what the Raiders had been seeking. A makeshift laboratory had been set up with Meridian bodies on examination tables. Some were still alive, connected to strange machinery that pulsed with sickly light. "What is this?" Akoro asked, horror evident in his voice despite the armor's vocal filters. A wounded Meridian scientist struggled to explain. "They're harvesting our neural tissue, not just killing, consuming." Before Akoro could respond, an explosion rocked the chamber. Raider soldiers poured through a breach in the wall, led by a larger specimen with enhanced armor and weapons. "Protect the civilians," Akoro shouted, raising his rifle. The battle was quick and brutal. In the confined space, the humans' powered armor gave them a decisive advantage. Akoro himself confronted the Raider leader, his armor allowing him to match its strength as they grappled. The creature's mandibles clicked rapidly as it struggled against him. Then, to his surprise, it spoke in a harsh, translated voice. "What kind of hell planet spawned your kind?" Akoro responded by driving his combat knife through a gap in its carapace. "Earth," he answered simply, "and we're just getting started." In orbit, the tide of battle had turned. The human fleet had broken the Raider formation, destroying or disabling nearly 50 enemy vessels. The remaining Raider ships began to retreat, abandoning their ground forces. Captain Volkov watched with grim satisfaction. "Order all ships to maintain pursuit, don't let them regroup." She turned to Ambassador Jero, who had observed the entire battle in stunned silence. "Your Concord has been running from these monsters. We're going to hunt them down." Gyro's luminescent skin pulsed with emotion. "You fight like nothing we've ever seen." "We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day," Volkov replied. "Now we're going to show these Raiders what that means." The captured Raider commander lay strapped to an examination table aboard the Thunderstrike. Its chitinous exoskeleton clicked softly as it struggled against the restraints, designed to hold something 3 times human strength. Around the table stood Captain Volkov, Major Akoro, and 2 science officers. "The neural interface is ready, Captain," reported Dr. Prithai Vashisht, adjusting settings on a complex device connected to the alien's head. "This should allow two-way communication without relying on their translator technology." Volkov nodded. "Proceed." The Raider commander's 4 compound eyes darted frantically as the device activated. Its mandibles clicked rapidly in what might have been pain or anger. "Can you understand us now?" Volkov asked. A harsh, mechanical voice emerged from the interface. "I understand, Deathworlder." Volkov's expression remained neutral, though the alien's use of the term was telling. "We need information, the location of your hive ships and your command structure." The raider commander's body shuddered in what might have been laughter. "You think to intimidate me? The collective will devour every neural pathway in this sector before the next stellar cycle." Dr. Vashisht monitored her instruments carefully. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual activity in its neural patterns. I believe it's attempting to self-terminate." Volkov leaned closer to the alien. "Before you die, know this, we've already destroyed half your fleet. We're resistant to your neural weapons. And now we're coming for your hive ships." The raider commander's body stiffened suddenly, then went completely limp. But the instruments captured what they needed. "We got it," Dr. Vashisht confirmed. "Neural patterns, memory fragments, and coordinates, 3 major hive ships positioned in different systems." Volkov studied the data on a nearby screen. "They're too spread out. If we go after them one by one, they'll have time to coordinate a response or flee." Major Okoro, standing silently until now, stepped forward. "Then we don't go after them one by one, we split the fleet." 2 days later, Volkov addressed the assembled ship commanders via holographic conference. The human battle group, reinforced by repair ships from Earth, had been divided into 3 strike forces. "Intelligence from the captured commander gives us the locations of 3 raider hive ships," Volkov explained. "These are their command and control centers, each nearly 10 kilometers in length. They're heavily armed and house tens of thousands of raiders, including their leadership caste." The tactical display showed the 3 targets, each in a different star system along the edge of charted space. "Strike Force Alpha under my command will take the Thunderstrike and 7 ships to the Nemesis system to engage the largest hive ship. Strike Force Beta under Captain Huang will target the hive ship in the Taurus system. Strike Force Gamma under Major Okoro will attack the 3rd hive ship in the Orpheus system." Okoro's recent field promotion had raised some eyebrows, but his performance on the Meridian surface had proven his tactical brilliance. Volkov had personally recommended his advancement. "We will attack simultaneously, preventing the raiders from supporting each other. Launches in 6 hours, that is all." As the other commanders' holograms faded, Ambassador Gyro approached Volkov. The Kalesti diplomat had remained with the fleet, serving as liaison to the conquered forces that had finally begun to arrive. "Captain, the Kalesti and Meridian support vessels are ready to assist. However, I must express concern about your strategy." Volkov turned to her. "What concerns you, Ambassador?" Gyro's skin pulsed with anxious blue light. "Dividing your forces seems reckless. The conquered military advisors suggest a more cautious approach." "The same advisors who have been losing to these raiders for 2 years?" Volkov asked mildly. Gyro's 4 hands gestured in a sign of concession. "We are uncomfortable with your species' approach to warfare." "The level of aggression is necessary," Volkov finished for him. "Ambassador, understand this. On Earth, there's an ancient concept called the predator-prey relationship. For most of your species' evolutionary history, you were prey. For most of ours, we were predators. These raiders have never encountered predators before." 6 days later, the Thunderstrike led Strike Force Alpha into the Nemesis system. The raider hive ship dominated the sensor readings, a massive, organic-looking vessel surrounded by defensive platforms and smaller craft. "They're detected us," Lieutenant Tanaka reported. "Energy buildup across their fleet." "All ships execute attack pattern Delta," Volkov commanded. "Target their defensive platforms first, then concentrate fire on the hive ship's propulsion systems. We need it intact enough to board." The battle erupted with furious intensity. The raiders fought with desperate ferocity, but the human vessels maneuvered with coordinated precision, systematically dismantling the alien defenses. "Boarding teams ready, Captain," Major Okoro reported from the launch bay. He had transferred to the Thunderstrike after his strike force had successfully neutralized the Orpheus hive ship. "Launch when ready, Major. Find their queens." The boarding operation was the most dangerous phase of the plan. 200 Marines in heavy assault armor launched from the Thunderstrike, using jetpacks to navigate through the chaos of battle toward the wounded hive ship. Okoro led the first wave, his armored form a beacon for the others to follow. Inside the hive ship, the humans encountered alien architecture beyond their expectations. Organic corridors that pulsed with life, chambers filled with strange machinery, and thousands of worker raiders scrambling to defend their home. The Marines pushed forward relentlessly, their armor protecting them from the worst of the neural attacks, their weapons cutting through chitinous barriers and defender raiders alike. In the central chamber, they found what intelligence had predicted, the Hive Queen, a massive version of the raiders, her body connected to the ship itself through countless neural interfaces. Around her, dozens of elite guards formed a last line of defense. "Hold position," Akoro ordered as his team secured the entrance to the chamber. "Captain, we've reached the central node. The Queen is here." "Understood," Volkov's voice came through his comm. "Dr. Vashisht is patching through a translation matrix. We need to communicate before you take action." The Queen's massive compound eyes focused on the human intruders. When she spoke, her voice resonated through the chamber, processed through the human translation system. "So the prey worlds have finally found their predators," she said, her mandibles clicking rhythmically. "You're too late, Deathworlders, the harvest has already begun." "Why?" Akoro demanded. "Why attack peaceful species? Why harvest their neural tissue?" The Queen's body shifted, ichor dripping from wounds sustained during the battle. "Our home system is dying. A radiation wave from our star has damaged our collective mind. We need new neural patterns to survive, to rebuild what was lost." "So you decided to consume other sentient species?" Akoro's voice was hard with disgust. "Survival," the Queen replied simply. "Your kind should understand, from a death world, yes, you survived by any means necessary." "There's a difference," Akoro responded. "We evolved through our challenges. We didn't survive by consuming other sentient beings." "A semantic distinction," the Queen dismissed. "Kill me if you must, but my children will continue the harvest elsewhere." "No," Volkov's voice came through the comms. "We've destroyed your other hive ships. Your children have nowhere to go." For a moment the Queen was silent, then her body shuddered in what might have been resignation. "Then end it, predators, prove your superiority." Akoro raised his weapon, then hesitated. "Captain, requesting permission to offer alternatives. Their situation might be solvable without extinction." The silence over the comms stretched for several seconds. "Proceed with caution, Major." 3 months later, Captain Volkov stood in the conquered Security Council chamber on Harmonium Station. Representatives from 30 species, including the newly admitted Meridians, listened as she delivered her final report on what had come to be called the Raider Crisis. "The threat has been neutralized," she stated plainly. "The 3 hive ships have been secured. The remaining raiders have been relocated to an uninhabited system with suitable conditions for their species, under strict quarantine protocols. Earth has deployed a permanent monitoring station to ensure compliance." The conquered High Counselor, a Kalesti elder whose skin shimmered with patterns of authority, leaned forward. "And what of their neural degradation issue?" "Earth scientists working with Meridian biotechnology specialists have developed a synthetic neural substrate that can substitute for the neural tissue they were harvesting. It's not a perfect solution, but it will allow their species to survive without preying on others." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The idea of helping rather than exterminating an enemy was novel to many conquered species. "The Human Confederation has demonstrated both remarkable military prowess and unexpected mercy," the High Counselor acknowledged. "This council owes you a debt of gratitude." Volkov inclined her head slightly. "Earth didn't act solely out of altruism, Counselor. We recognized a threat that could eventually reach our own borders. We simply chose to confront it sooner rather than later." After the formal proceedings concluded, Ambassador Gyro approached Volkov in a private chamber. His skin now displayed patterns of respect rather than fear when in her presence. "The Conquered's perception of humanity has changed significantly," he said. "The term Deathworlder is being used with new connotations, not of fear but of respect." Volkov smiled slightly. "Evolution shapes us all, Ambassador. Earth shaped humans to be survivors and, when necessary, warriors. The galaxy has been fortunate that most species evolved in gentler environments." "And now," Gyro asked, "what role will Earth play in the Conquered's future?" Volkov looked out through a viewport at the distant stars. "The role we've always been meant to play, the predators who protect the prey from greater threats." She turned back to the ambassador. "Every ecosystem needs its apex predators, Gyro. The galaxy has found theirs." Throughout conquered space, the story spread. How Earth's deadly children had answered a distress call, how humans had faced an enemy that terrified gentler species, and how they had found a balance between necessary force and unexpected mercy. The classification of Earth as a death world remained, but the term no longer carried fear. Instead, it inspired a strange new emotion in the gentle species of the conquered. They called it security.